pockets of resistance all around the planet. We've been fighting a long time. If you're listening to this, you are not alone. You are the resistance.
These shots need to get in everybody's arm as rapidly as possible, or we're going to be back in a situation in the fall that we don't yearn for, that we went through last.
Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep.
These shots need to get in everybody's arm as rapidly as possible, or we're going to be back in a situation.
These signals being sent through the poor and the underclass are growing.
Areas of growth. We also work with quite a few staffing firms, and they're kind of the first ones to experience that growth.
Because you people and 62 million other Americans are listening to me right now. Because less than 3% of you people read books. Because less than 15% of you read newspapers. Because the only truth you know is what you get over this tube. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people. And that's why woe is us that Edward George Ruddy died. This company is now in the hands of CCA, the Communication Corporation of America. There's a new chairman of the board, a man called Frank Hackett, sitting in Mr. Ruddy's office on the 20th floor. And when the 12th largest company in the world controls the most awesome goddamn propaganda force in the whole godless world, who knows what shit will be peddled for truth on this network. So you listen to me. Listen to me. Television is not the truth. Television is a goddamn amusement park. Television is a circus, a carnival, a traveling troupe of acrobats, storytellers, dancers, singers, jugglers, sideshow freaks, lion tamers, and football players. We're in the boredom-killing business. So if you want the truth, go to God. Go to your gurus. Go to yourself. Because that's the only place you're ever going to find any real truth. But man, you're never gonna get any truth from us. We'll tell you anything you want to hear. We lie like hell. We'll tell you that Kojak always gets the killer and that nobody ever gets cancer in Archie Bunker's house. And no matter how much trouble the hero is in, don't worry, just look at your watch. At the end of the hour, he's going to win. We'll tell you any shit you want to hear. We deal in illusions, man. None of it is true. But you people sit there day after day, night after night, all ages, colors, creeds. We're all you know. You're beginning to believe the illusions we're spinning here. You're beginning to think that the tube is reality and that your own lives are unreal. You do whatever the tube tells you. You dress like the tube. You eat like the tube. You raise your children like the tube. You even think like the tube. This is mass madness, you maniacs. In God's name, you people are the real thing. We are the illusion. So turn off your television sets. Turn them off now. Turn them off right now. Turn them off and leave them off. Turn them off right in the middle of the sentence I'm speaking to you now. Turn them off.
Their mouths are full of bitterness and curses, and in their paths, nothing but ruin and misery. And the fear of God is not before their eyes. They have taken the hearts and minds of our leaders. They have recruited the rich and the powerful, and they have blinded us to the truth. Our human spirit is corrupted. Why do we worship greed? Because outside the limit of our sight, feeding off us, perched on top of us from birth to death, are our owners. Our owners. They have us. They control us. They are our masters. Wake up. They're all about you, all around you.
We are in control because basically we are not a political organization, we are an occult organization. We're working behind the scenes to manipulate the way that people think. The war that we are waging is a guerrilla war on the human mind. And we use musical frequencies, the dominant frequency, which I've referred to before, and symbolism and imagery to awaken dormant aspects of the human mind. What we're waging is a cultural war right now on every front, in music, in literature, utilizing the media against itself. And we're using music because that's the instrument that young people respond to right now. We're doing propaganda directly to awaken the wolf in man. Politics is merely the puppet show of human beings, and we transcend that, but we are interested in the control of human beings for our own purposes. Concern for the homeless, particularly. We don't have any concern in helping people. As Adolf Hitler said, we seek to bring about a youth that has closed its heart to pity. All of the humanist values that Judeo-Christianity has encouraged, we want to wipe them out. It's led to democracy, social humanism, the idea of equality. All of this filth has to be wiped out if the human race is going to continue to take the next step in evolution.
Recently I was doing some research when I came across what looks like a very ominous United States patent, which was patented in 2001. What is ominous about this is that the patent is for something called manipulating a person's psychology and their physiology with nothing more than a standard TV or computer monitor. But to understand what it does, perhaps I should just let the patent speak for itself, that is, just read the abstract. Physiological effects have been observed in the human subject in response to a stimulation of the skin with weak electromagnetic fields that are pushed with a certain frequency near half a hertz or 2.4 Hz, such as to excite a sensory resonance. Many computer monitors and TV tubes, when displaying pulsed images, emit pulsed electromagnetic fields of sufficient amplitudes to cause such excitation. Basically, the pattern's saying that it uses a series of frequencies, images, and things of that nature to manipulate the human mind. It also goes on to say that it can be embedded in certain kinds of images and TV programs. So the device seems to be nothing more than patenting a type of covert brainwashing device using someone's own computer monitor or TV screen. Well, you might say that this person might be just a quack, it might be an anomaly, and this device might not even work. Since how much credibility does the person who filed the patent have? Well, the person who filed the patent is none other than a university professor of physics at the University of California. However, there is very little information on who he is at the university, since I couldn't find anything else but his name. This would lead me to believe that maybe his research is private or government related, but of course this is just speculation. But maybe you might say that his research he is doing into mind control might be nothing more than an outliner. Well, let's have a look at his other patents. This is called patent US 6238333B1 and is about how to control people from afar using electromagnetic fields. The device stated in the patent uses what's called remote manipulation to effectively manipulate the nervous system of a human being at a distance of up to several hundred meters using a small portable battery-powered device. Here are a few other patents. Have a quick look to see if you can spot something that has a similar theme. It would seem for the most part this guy's patents have to do with developing mind control, but doing it covertly so the subject doesn't notice, and with a focus on the central human nervous system using energy manipulation at a distance, all of which is covert. Anyway, the real question is, with most of these patents filed over 15 years ago or more, are any of them being used today without our knowledge? After all, the main thrust of all of the patents is to use them covertly.
I'm out of my head, out of my mind, oh why? If you let me, I'll be out of my dress and into your arms tonight. Yeah, I'm lost without it. Feels like I'm always waiting. I need you to come get me out of my head and into your arms tonight.
Your phone is designed to steal your attention for one reason, and one reason only. People are making money on you. It's that simple. They're making money on you. We live in what's called the attention economy. It means your attention is for sale. That the time that you spend watching media, scrolling through your phone, buying things that you don't need, that everybody is making money off of your attention and your time. The phone is designed to keep you on it. Like, I think you've had that experience, haven't you? Where you know it's not good for you. You know you don't want to spend as much time on it. You know that when you're off your phone, you feel better, you're happier, you're more well rested. We also know the simple, stupid advice for how it is that we can stop using it so much, and yet none of us do it. And so I started to wonder, well, why? Why is it so hard? What's happened with the phone and how tech is designed and how social media is designed and how ads are designed and how headlines are written, they are specifically designed to screw you over, to have you just casually turn over your most precious thing in life, which is your time and your attention. The research shows that the average person in the United States, based on the devices themselves, is spending 7 hours a day consuming media on your phone. 7 hours a day. That's 59 hours a week. You got to be very careful about the addictive nature of this freaking device and how people are using you. Because when you wake up and are like, wait a minute, I'm getting used, I think you're going to have a different level of motivation around your boundaries with this phone.
This might just do nobody any good. At the end of this discourse, a few people may accuse this reporter of fouling his own comfortable nest, and your organization may be accused of having given hospitality to heretical and even dangerous ideas. But the elaborate structure of networks, advertising agencies, and sponsors will not be shaken or altered. It is my desire, if not my duty, to try to talk to you journeymen with some candor about what is happening to radio and television. And if what I say is responsible, I alone am responsible for the saying of it. Our history will be what we make of it. And if there are any historians about 50 or 100 years from now, and there should be preserved the kinescopes of 1 week of all 3 networks, they will there find, recorded in black and white and in color, evidence of decadence, escapism, and insulation from the realities of the world in which we live. We are currently wealthy, fat, comfortable, and complacent. We have a built-in allergy to unpleasant or disturbing information. Our mass media reflect this. But unless we get up off our fat surpluses and recognize that television, in the main, is being used to distract, delude, amuse, and insulate us, then television and those who finance it, those who look at it, and those who work at it may see a totally different picture too late. I began by saying that our history will be what we make it. If we go on as we are, then history will take its revenge and retribution will not limp in catching up with us. Just once in a while, let us exalt the importance of ideas and information. Let us dream to the extent of saying that on a given Sunday night, the time normally occupied by Ed Sullivan is given over to a clinical survey on the state of American education. And a week or two later, the time normally used by Steve Allen is devoted to a thoroughgoing study of American policy in the Middle East. Would the corporate image of their respective sponsors be damaged? Would the shareholders rise up in their wrath and complain? Would anything happen other than a few million people would have received a little illumination on subjects that may well determine the future of this country and therefore the future of the corporations? To those who say people wouldn't look, they wouldn't be interested, they're too complacent, indifferent, and insulated, I can only reply, there is, in one reporter's opinion, considerable evidence against that contention. But even if they are right, what have they got to lose? Because if they are right, and this instrument is good for nothing but to entertain, amuse, and insulate, then the tube is flickering now, and we will soon see that the whole struggle is lost. This instrument can teach, it can illuminate, and yes, it can even inspire. But it can do so only to the extent that humans are determined to use it towards those ends. Otherwise, it is merely wires and lights in a box. Good night, and good luck.
With quite a few staffing firms, and they're kind of the first ones to experience that growth.
And my final story is about Trump's big new bill. It's far more than a big new bill. It doesn't just cut taxes and immigration. It's an operational key to unlock a full financial realignment. You're watching the IQD revaluation preparation. You're watching XRP liquidity pathways being finalized. You're watching VND quietly shifting positions. You're watching gold reserves being recalculated. The IRS being phased out in favor of tariff-based funding. And you're seeing the CBDCs stalled to make room for an asset-backed alternative. The bill seals the borders because sovereignty must come before value. It ends tax slavery because the system is moving to an external revenue. Trade, not labor. It restructures federal beast because you can't plug in the new rails until the old system is neutralized. No bill equals no legal trigger. No legal trigger equals no reset. So the vote is the mechanics for the RV. So there's some breaking news that is incredibly powerful right at this time. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Things are happening, but you have to be spiritually awake to see it, because you won't see it on the mainstream media. You'll see it on our channel. You'll see it on other truth seekers channels who are aware of what's going on. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. It's happening. We see you tomorrow.
Interesting concept. Parasites are demons, and when you start to compare the two, you'll see there's a lot of similarities. Parasites don't just invade your body, they hijack your nervous system, control us very easily. By definition, both are known to control their host and manipulate behavior. I mean, look at these things. They can influence your thoughts, the types of foods you crave, encourage sexual desires, even your dreams. So it's very possible these parasites act as antennas or conduits for these demonic entities. Archons, jinn, demons, whatever you want to call them. But think about it. Why else is there fast food, alcohol, and junk on every street corner? And then you combine that with chemtrails, pesticides, fungicides, microplastics, heavy metals. Think about what kind of influences you could be under. This could be another reason why they want us to all be sick, to make us susceptible to these demonic entities. These are the sources of addiction. This is why people can't break those bad habits or those vices. You ask yourself, why'd you do that? Why'd you eat that? Why do you keep doing those things you know are bad for you? Is it you, or is it the parasite forcing that self-destructive behavior? Now, even the Bible says some demons can only be casted out through fasting. Anyone who's done a deep fast knows those shakes of abstaining from certain foods. You're like a drug addict being revealed your true addictions. But then it gets easier as you starve those demons out. So this is what no one tells you about a parasite cleanse. Killing the parasites is just the first step. You still have to flush them out of your system, otherwise you're left with a bunch of dead worms inside you.
Theory goes, parasites are actually demons.
Kinda, yeah.
Check this.
They go into your body and f everything up.
In the Bible, what does it say to release demons? What must you do?
What?
You must pray and fast. Why fast?
There's nothing else coming in your body.
Yeah, so the parasites can't
multiply.
thrive.
Yeah.
Now what do parasites do that demons are likely to do too? Parasites, they change your mood. They change your behavior. They make you crave bad food. They make you do bad behavior. What do demons do? The same thing. They change your mentality, change your mood. They almost change your whole character.
Yeah.
What's the only way to take them out? Like they said in the Bible, pray
yeah.
and fast. I never really understood fasting until now. They literally survive on sugars. If the parasite keeps thriving on it, that's why we're so addicted to that stuff.
Yeah.
Because the parasite is making us want it more. If you look at microscopic images of a parasite, they look like monsters.
Low-key.
That's what demons look like.
What's up, guys? What is going on? So, man, wanted to rap with y'all real quick, man, because it's becoming so apparent about some of the things that we talked about before. But it's something I wanted to reiterate, man, and talk to you guys about again, because I thought this was very important. And the reason I thought it was very important because there's some folks that I know specifically right now that are going through some things. All right, they're going through some things, man, and it's directly related to
the walk and everything, right? So if y'all might recall, I told y'all there was folks that was close to me, family and everything that took it or whatever, and side effects have kicked in almost immediately. I mean, it was just like that. I told you my kid's mom, her cousin came down with that fast moving cancer, right? That came back and it took, like, these were perfectly healthy people. And then also her mom, she ended up having a stroke, okay, blood clot in the brain. Now her sister ended up coming down with MS.
We make it sound in organized medicine that because we can label something, we really understand it. And one of my favorite examples is multiple sclerosis. You know, we claim that, and I'm a spine surgeon. For all my life, I did neurology evaluations. And we'd have somebody come in and they thought that it was their back or their neck, and I'd examine them and see them and think, no, that's not what's going on. Let's get, you know, this may be something else, thinking about multiple sclerosis or MS. So I would get an MRI of the brain and the spinal cord, and it would come back with a reading and I'd look at it too, but it would come back as a reading from the radiologist. Oh, there are plaques in the brain and the spinal cord, and that means MS. So what is MS? They never take it the next step, and what causes it? Well, finally, we have a really good pathologist, Dr. McDonald, down, I think it's in Florida, who actually did very careful sectioning of the brain and spinal cord and found out that 100% of the dead MS patients he had autopsied had parasites in their brain and spinal cord. Some of it was actually grossly visible to the naked eye. So we just accepted, over my whole 45 years in medicine, we accepted that the smart people at the universities were paying attention to this stuff. And what we're learning, thanks to COVID, I will say, is that they weren't paying attention, that this can't be by accident. One of the things, too, I'll say is that after 45 years in medicine and seeing them telling us things that are completely wrong over and over and over again, you finally wake up and realize this is not by accident. This is a long-term calculated plan to keep us sick for some reason and to kill us prematurely.
Okay, so these are folks that I know that specifically have been hit with this the weapon. We'll just say the weapon, all right? And the effects is ongoing. It's ongoing. It's starting to speed up. I put some clips in here for y'all to see kind of what they talking about for people, man, and how it's becoming like more apparent that it is what we called it, what we said it was, and it's a weapon.
Something's happening in Florida. Behind closed doors in labs and government offices, a small group of senior research scientists, including the state's own Surgeon General, Dr. Joseph Ladapo, are stepping out of the shadows. They're risking everything, their careers, their reputations, even their lives, to expose what may be the largest crime against humanity in modern history. These aren't fringe theorists, these are world-renowned experts backed by data and credibility, pointing directly at powerful figures like Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, and the global health establishment. Their claim? The mRNA vaccines aren't just medical treatments, they're weapons of population control. According to official data released by the Florida Department of Health, in collaboration with scientists from MIT, something deeply disturbing is happening. All-cause mortality is surging, and the patterns can no longer be dismissed. The evidence is stacking up. The jab has already caused an alarming number of deaths. But the most chilling part? This might only be the beginning. Because according to the data, the death rate isn't just rising, it's accelerating. And if the current trend continues, we're headed towards a peak event so catastrophic, it could resemble a near extinction scenario. For years, the global elite have been openly telegraphing their plans to slash the world's population from over 8 billion down to a so-called sustainable 500 million. They've whispered it in white papers, printed it on guidestones, and spoken it aloud at global summits. But most people, they chose to look away, to plug their ears, scroll their screens, and pretend everything was fine. Those days are officially over. The veil is lifting, and the data is impossible to ignore. Just like in many parts of the world, Florida is now seeing a dramatic surge in excess deaths. And this time, it's not being swept under the rug. The study, led by Dr. Ladapo, Florida's Surgeon General, alongside 2 senior MIT research scientists, was published as a preprint on April the 29th. But this isn't just another academic paper. It's a series of devastating truth bombs, each one backed by official government data, and together they paint a picture that's impossible to ignore. MIT data scientist Steve Kirsch did not mince his words when he reviewed the findings. He called it a train wreck. As he wrote on his Substack, vaccines should never increase all-cause mortality. To earlier generations, that would have been common sense. But today, in a society anaesthetised by Big Pharma and manipulated by corporate media, that statement is treated as heresy. But here's the good news. Not everyone is asleep at the wheel. Governor Ron DeSantis and his administration are refusing to look away. They're digging into the data, confronting the narrative, and pulling back the curtain on what they believe is a global depopulation agenda, engineered, coordinated, and already in motion. Because now the question isn't, is this really happening? It's how far are they willing to go before the world wakes up?
The mass injecting of more than half the world's population with that drug is the worst thing that has ever happened in the history of our species. And it has happened now. And I know that's very, very difficult for a lot of people to accept, particularly people who've had it. But we are now living in the aftermath of that. And the repercussions are going to go on, I'm afraid, for a very long time. It's not like, oh, lots of people died and now they finished dying, and obviously we want justice. People will keep dying, keep being extremely ill, probably be infertile, affected in all kinds of different ways for years and years, I'm afraid. And people have to kind of accept that thing took place. And anybody who was involved at any kind of high level with making that happen is not your friend.
When the FDA asked the federal judge to delay the release until 2076, over 50 years from now, I can't.
And you're a record skip at that point. Say that again, because the people thought this was a joke. This is real.
As Dr. Peter McCullough explains, the science is finally catching up. Peer-reviewed studies, real research, not pharma-sponsored PR, are starting to arrive at the same chilling conclusion. The spike protein is a bioweapon. Not metaphorically, not hypothetically, but by the strict definitions used in military biowarfare protocols.
As a doctor, I have never seen something so injurious to the human body. It invades the brain. It invades the heart. It causes brain and heart damage. It invades the bone marrow. It stimulates antibodies to actually start to attack our own platelets and our other cells in our body. It causes blood clotting and damage to blood vessels like we've never seen. Data from University of Pittsburgh suggesting it causes cancer. Since when do we have a protein that actually injures the brain, injures the heart, the bone marrow, the immune system, causes blood clotting, and potentially causes cancer in a single protein? It's a weapon. In fact, there are 3 papers, one by Farkas, published in Military Medicine, and 2 by Yen, published in preprint. They've actually concluded it is a bioweapon. It is a bioweapon. According to strict military criteria, it's a bioweapon.
Never forget how they treated us while pushing this military-grade bioweapon onto the world. They locked us in our homes. They forced experimental injections into millions of arms, under threat, coercion, and lies. Then, they tried to seal the data until the year 2076, because they knew. They knew what they had done, and they were terrified of what would happen if the truth ever saw daylight. And when we dared to ask questions, they didn't answer. They silenced us, mocked us, punished us. Across the world, from China to the US, Europe to Australia, officials fell in line. They danced to the tune of the global elites and turned authoritarian overnight. Not to protect us, not because we broke any laws, but because we refused to wear masks that didn't even protect anybody. Because we refused to kneel. And that to them was the ultimate crime. Independent thought and refusal to submit.
Oh, get off of me! Get off! Let go of his vest. Let go of his He's choking me! He's choking me! What the f***? Let go of his vest. Me! Get the f*** off him! Stop! You get the f*** off me! What are you doing? You just kicked me. You're choking me, dude! What the f***? You're f***ing the head! You're
What station?
What?
I'll give you those details once she's in the back.
She's got a note from the doctor. Oh, I can feel the pride running through my bones. Big ass egos.
So they brought the full weight of the system down on us. Censorship, job loss, arrests, digital blacklisting. All for asking the most basic questions. And given how much the elite were hiding, it's no wonder they ordered their enforcers to be so heavy-handed. But here's where it gets darker. Because what your family doctor, yes, the one you've trusted for years, and your child's paediatrician are covering up right now, makes the last 4 years look like a trial run. The real show is just beginning. And once you hear what they've been keeping from you, you'll never look at the system the same way again. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with all the details. So, given everything we now know, and the slow motion disaster unfolding right in front of our eyes, how can they possibly justify continuing to push mRNA vaccines on us? And worse, on our children? Well, the answer is simple. They can't. At least, not honestly. So instead they lie, they censor, they gaslight, and they double down, because the truth is too dangerous for them to admit. Ever wonder why your paediatrician gets visibly upset, or even threats to kick you out of their office, just for asking questions about the childhood vaccine schedule? Well, as RFK Jr. explains, there's a very specific reason for that. And once you hear it, everything starts to make sense.
Part of the responsibility of being a parent is, unfortunately, is to not trust everything your doctor says, and to understand that the medical that doctors have been co-opted by the medical cartel, that the medical schools are now run by pharmaceutical companies, they're funded by them, and that the doctors believe mainly what they're doing. They're also heavily compensated. A typical pediatrician's office makes about 50% of its funding comes from vaccines, not actually from selling the individual vaccines, from the traffic. I mean, when I was a kid, I went to the doctor when I needed stitches, and that's it. And today, every kid goes to the doctor at least 10 times to get their vaccines, and that foot traffic in and out of the office is a major part of the business plan for the pediatrician office. And they're also then rewarded by Blue Cross Blue Shield, which has a reward schedule for pediatricians who vaccinate 80 or 85% of the kids in their office. Get these giant bonuses, I think $40 or $400 per kid, huge amounts of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars that they make, making sure that 85% of the kids are vaccinated, and that's why they throw you out of the office if you fight back. It's not because they care so much about your particular kid, it's that you'll throw off the metrics and you'll lose them their bonuses. And so they, and those schedules have now been published, so people can actually go look at the Blue Cross Blue Shield schedule, and you can see what your pediatrician is making, and it's huge amounts of money from complying. And so, they have these perverse incentives that make it so that they're not really treating your kid as an individual patient. And so your job in a democracy, in today's democracy, is to do your own research. And that's hard to do, but you need to do it to protect your child.
The audacity of these so-called medical professionals to pressure, guilt, and coerce you into submitting yourself and your children to experimental injections is truly staggering, especially when you realize the truth. They don't actually know what they're talking about. Seriously, they don't have a clue. They're literally unqualified.
People with the top of the top qualifications in the medical world.
And the story they've been told by their colleagues, by public health, by their pharmaceutical industry sponsored medical education was in fact a grand lie.
So when you first started out to be a doctor, what kind of training did you get on vaccines?
Honestly, I don't remember very much conversation at all.
We were just taught that they help prevent disease.
We were told on our rotations that vaccines were safe and effective,
here's a schedule.
We are not taught what's in those vaccines. We are just taught what the schedule is like.
Safe and effective, and they've saved millions of lives. We learned the schedule. We did not learn what was in them.
It was more philosophically vaccines than the science behind it, I guess, if you will.
As you know, medical doctors don't have a lot of training in vaccines.
If you are one of those people who knows more than doctors, that's fine, no vaccinations, but you're not allowed to go to the doctor anymore. Right? Why would you even want to go to a doctor who knows less than you do?
It's amazing, but they didn't teach us very much.
Very little. Very little. And what you got basically was told, these are the things that you need to give to your patients.
It was just more about administration of the vaccines rather than the real effects and risks associated with them.
Here's the schedule. These are the saviors of mankind. They're safe, and you need to make sure everybody's vaccinated.
In the field of vaccines, everything is great, everything is safe and effective, everything has been determined. There is no need to go back and look at it again.
Just like everybody else, I have to go to the insert and look what's in it. I don't know what they put in vaccines.
And so I kind of thought that they were saline water and like bits of viruses and it, you know, super safe.
Yeah, you learn about adjuvants and you learn about the immune system and how it works, but as far as what the vaccine actually does, and you never heard about the negative effect of a vaccine. Never.
Zero. None.
The whole argument of your doctor has done all this research. Well, if they've done it on their own, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, since there was no discussion of there being anything bad about vaccines, and unless you spend some time on your own, you know, investigating, you have the presumption that vaccines are good and that everyone should get them, and that you should make sure that every child coming into your office is getting them on schedule or they're going to have some horrible illness.
So there wasn't any training. There wasn't any looking at side effects. There wasn't any of that. So nothing.
Would an immunologist be, probably of all the medical professions, someone that is near to being an expert?
I would say no one is an expert in vaccines. Absolutely no one.
Parents are,
Because
by the way.
yes, because no one is being taught about vaccines in schools, and so basically, in vaccine field, you really have to be a self-taught expert.
For years, we've been urging people, do your own research. Because once you start digging, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. And that's exactly what the elite fear the most, an informed public. Not just everyday citizens, but doctors too. Because the moment medical professionals stop blindly following orders and start asking the right questions, the whole house of cards begins to fall.
You know, I've been hearing rumors about those black microfibers that are kind of worm-like that move inside of those N95 masks or whatever. Sure enough, there are black microfibers on here, as you can see. Here it is, moving.
Harmful parasites, along with the secret technology, has created a toxic environment in our bodies. These harmful particles, parasites, toxins and poisons exist in the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, and the medicines we take. Detoxifying the body is critical to long-term health and is a necessity for optimal brain and organ function. To address these growing health concerns with yourself and others, visit detoxificationbypurification.com, where we specialize in treating the harmful effects caused by the integration of these harmful substances in the body by providing products that destroys the foreign organisms and disables the foreign technology meant to control you.
Sure enough, there are black microfibers on here, as you can see. Here it is, moving right now. See that? It's moving.
All right, now, the crazy thing about it, guys, I told y'all have to understand this. I went over this many times. You have to understand what I've always told you. We don't understand this world, okay? I keep on telling y'all, I keep on reiterating that. We don't understand this world. Everything that you've been taught and everything you've been told is a lie, okay? We don't understand how this realm works. We don't completely understand frequency, hertz. We don't understand the biorhythm of the body. We don't understand the biorhythm of the earth. We don't understand the solar system. We don't understand the atmosphere. We don't understand the spiritual realm completely. Heaven, hell. This is all frequency related stuff. You see what I'm saying? Also, manifestations and things. There's stuff that we can do here, stuff that's going on here that we do not quite understand. Okay, and some of you have no clue. If you've been rocking with me, you know some of this stuff to some degree. Like some of this stuff is starting to make sense to you. But I don't have all the answers. I give y'all as much as I know, and the stuff that I've been researching myself, I lay it out in the best way I can so that you guys can absorb it and start to at least practice some of the different methods and things that might help you as far as health-wise, as far as evolving spiritually, as far as mentally, raising your IQ level, okay? Because these things here have been lowering, purposely lowering people's IQ. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's because you don't know nothing, so they can do whatever they want to us. They can give us, they can feed us whatever they want. They can depopulate whenever they want, however they want. They can use us as cattle, which they don't. All this stuff is going on here. All of this stuff, like possession. The whole thing about possession is so, guys, like, man, that stuff is so intricate. Possession, like, man, I really, I'm trying to think the best way to break this down for you guys, man. Possession. I did videos about this, man, but it's so in depth, man, about how it works. We've talked about the vril and stuff. Y'all know that that's a real thing.
Did you know that parasites are demons? And these things, you need to get rid of them immediately from your body. And even getting rid of them is not easy. You need to understand. You shall know the truth, and it shall set you free. Now, my friends, demons and parasites, they have similar behaviors. And when you see what the Bible says about demons, is exactly what parasites are all about. And when you watch closely and you're keen to understand, my friend, you will get to know that these things that we call parasites are basically just embodied spirits. They are spirits, they are demons which are living inside people. They are possessing people inside them, and people do not know how to get rid of them. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of comparisons between demons and parasites, and you're going to tell if really these things are demons, all right? Now, first and foremost, you have to understand that demons infiltrate and they inhabit individuals or spaces. Those are demons. For example, in the book of Mark chapter 5 verse 9, Jesus asked a man who was possessed by an unclean spirit, "What is your name?" And he answered saying, "My name is Legion, for we are many." You see? So this man was inhabited by a demon. So demons, they inhabit bodies. And what do parasites do? Likewise, they do the same. Parasites infiltrate and inhabit a host, living off the host's resources. You see the comparison there? Again, demons, they are known to cause destruction, all right? Destruction of things, and destruction of people and things like that. So demons, they seek to destroy their hosts, as seen in the book of John 10:10, where the Bible says, "The thief comes not but to steal, to kill, and to destroy." That is the work of demons. And what do parasites come to do? Parasites weaken and eventually destroy their hosts by draining them of vital nutrients. You eat, the parasite eats. You know, you eat this. Have you ever seen some children, especially in malnutrition area? You will find that the children have reached to a point that the tummy is so big, you think they are eating to get full, but it is malnutrition. It is full of tapeworms, full of things which are just eating, destroying this child. My friend, these things are demons. And again, talk about attachment. Demons can attach themselves to a person, always leading to bondage. Like in the book of Luke chapter 13 verse 11, we see a woman who had a spirit of infirmity for 18 years and was bowed together and could in no way lift herself up. Do you see that? Demons are able to attach themselves to a person, and likewise the parasites attach themselves to their host, often clinging unto them for survival. All right? And again, demons depend on a host to manifest their evil works. So much. They depend on the host. They have nothing of their own. They depend on the host. And we see this in the book of Mark chapter 9 verse 25, a demon causes a child to fall into convulsions. They want to use this child to do different things. You see, the child was having these convulsions. Sometimes demons can use people to go and hit other people. And that's why we have been told all the time, when you see people behaving weirdly, don't always think it's them. Probably it's the demons, probably it's the parasites, because parasites depend on a host for sustenance, to be able to do their own things, and they are unable to survive independently for long periods, and they need to reproduce. That's why you see people who love doing sinful things. For example, people who are promiscuous. The demons, the parasites, they want to procreate. They want to become more and more. So what are they going to do? They need to give you those tendencies. Because remember, there is even a parasite called T. gondii, which goes all the way to the brain and influences your thoughts. So you think you're the one who is sexually active. You think you're the one who loves stealing. But it's the parasite which is literally telling you, go and steal. Go and do this, go and do this, go and do this. They influence you. Is it not just exactly what the Bible tells us about demons? They influence you, because demons are often invisible, and yet their influence is felt. Look at Ephesians 6:12, which says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of the darkness of this world. Things that we cannot see. You can't see it. It is inside you, giving you some instructions, but you cannot see. That is what we are fighting against. And parasites are often microscopic, or they are hidden, and yet they significantly affect the host. Now, let's talk about distortion of identity. Did you know that demons distort the identity of a person? As seen in the book of Matthew chapter 8 verse 28, where two demon-possessed men were described as exceedingly fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. You find someone is so angry all the time. Someone is always very manipulative, very cheeky, a liar, a thief. But it is basically parasites, demons. Because parasites can distort the health and behavior of their host. Have you ever had this kind of malaria whereby people become as if they have gone nuts in some way, and some kind of diseases like syncophrenia, we know bipolar diseases, this type of diseases whereby you wonder, what is this? And this is not a medical advice video, so I'm just explaining about demons and parasites, all right? So now, you see, they distort the health and the behavior of their host, making them unrecognizable over time. And again, they are very resistant to removal. It is very hard for you to get them out. Demons resist removal. Likewise, the parasites resist removal. All right? And when you look at demons resisting removal, sometimes they require spiritual authority to cast them out, and also something else different. Remember what Jesus said in the book of Mark chapter 9 verse 29. Jesus said, this kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. You see, Jesus said you need to fast to get these kind of demons out of you. Why? When you look at it scientifically, we always know that one of the best ways to get rid of parasites is fasting. And when you get rid of parasites through fasting, your mind gets clear, your body gets strong, you loosen up. Most of the people that I see in churches today, some people are so bulgy, and then you ask yourself, really? Really? I'm not saying that it's bad to be bulgy, but at the end of the day, get rid of some of these parasites. And also don't think that it's only about being bulgy, even being so thin. There are other parasites which make people so thin. All you need to do, my friend, go and fast. Get rid of those worms. Get rid of all those tapeworms. They are the ones who are really giving you all this hard time. And when you understand this, my friend, we'll have a very beautiful place to live and very beautiful moments. They also cause sufferings. Remember, demons cause physical and emotional suffering, like the way the Bible says in Matthew 17 verse 15. A father describes his son saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he's a lunatic and so vexed. For oftentimes he falls into the fire and into the water. You see? So they cause suffering. These children, this child was always falling into fire and this and that. And likewise, the parasites cause physical suffering, leading to diseases and other health issues. And of course, demons can influence others through the actions of the host. All right, the host, they can influence others through the actions of their host. Like in the book of Acts chapter 19 verse 16, the man possessed by the demon leaped on them. The Bible says he leaped on them and overcame them. Come here. He overcame them. Parasites likewise can spread from one host to another through sexual intercourse, through different things, maybe, contaminated food and things like that. They go from here to there, here to there. Is it not just exactly the same thing? And finally, opposition to life. Demons always oppose the spiritual and physical well-being of a person. As seen in 1 Peter 5:8, the Bible says, be sober, be vigilant, for your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walks about seeking whom he may devour. The parasites always oppose the health and the life of their host, living at the expense of the host and his well-being. My friend, get rid of those parasites in your tummy. Get some fasting. Do some detoxing of your body, and you get out some of these demons. My friend, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Hope you're set free.
The Black Eye Club. Now, it's been pointed out, guys. I know y'all seen the Pope is gone, all right? But now they got a new Pope in place, and guess what? Yeah, he just happened to be part of the Black Eye Club. Now, I showed y'all the basketball player, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Okay, and how he just been going off. He the MVP all of a sudden, but guess what? Black Eye Club, right? Y'all like, man, what you mean Black Eye Club? You don't know about the Black Eye Club. I don't know if I can go into it. I don't know. I might put this in the video, man, because people need to know. But the Black Eye Club, let me break it down real quick for those that don't know. The Black Eye Club, man, is let's say Hollywood entertainers and stuff like that have been basically body snatched. All right. They've been body snatched. When I say body snatched, man, yeah, like the stuff you think is fiction is really non-fiction, man. I'm trying to tell y'all, like, this world is not what you think. But the Black Eye Club, basically, it's like a parasite that you got to understand how possession works, okay? Consciousness, all of that, man. Like, I'll be trying to figure out the most eloquent way to break this down to y'all. Okay, so
So y'all gotta look, man. Pay attention to his eyes. You see that? So these are what we call hybrids, man. And they have the technology. Y'all gotta understand they have the technology. We sit and glorify these superstars. If you look at a lot of these superstar athletes and stuff, man, they got this stuff going on with their face. Strange anomalies with their faces. You have to pay attention, man. A lot of politicians have this. This is real thing, man. This is not no AI technology. This is not no computer glitching or nothing. That is really what dude look like.
Human design. Human design.
Instagram with the V for Vril. Vril means they are lizards. We see the Vril Society, the Nazis were part of the Vril Society. Forget that Nazis, they don't actually exist, they're just all Vril. They're no different than the American government now, every other government now. They are reptilian demons, they're not human, they don't have a soul like we do. It's one of the reasons they hate us. They are the descendants of Cain, as in Cain and Abel. We are the descendants of Seth. Cain turned out reptilian, and he is cold-blooded. That's why they're called blue bloods. Here's Obama. They use the DNA of King Tut. This is Carly Kloss, so she's got one eye closed like Eye of Horus, but she also has the V by the eye because she's real chipped in the eye. Jeff Bezos, again, showing you his real chipping didn't go too well. Bill Cosby, too. This is that 80s show about reptilians who posed as human, and while pretending they were human, tried to take over and ate humans. And there's Samuel L. Jackson, also Vril, showing you very clearly by putting the V by his eye. Here's how the droning process works.
These lizards have a unique biological property of their bodies. The lizards have what's called a proboscis. It's an ejectable brain and spinal column. The small ones they use to drone people because the proboscis on young lizard type 1s, they're small enough to go into an eye and not ruin the eye because they're supposed to do this to animals with bigger eyeballs, probably friggin' dinosaurs. They parasite a human's brain. This top cap thing on the top of their head comes out. They can do this once in their life. It pulls their spinal column along with it. The human would have to be restrained or unconscious. The thing squiggles in through the eye. It does a spiral around the optic nerve all the way to a certain point, and it's driven there by taste. And they said once it gets there, it has the taste of butterscotch. It then starts what they call sweating the quill. The spinal cord stuff comes out of the spinal cord, and it's everything that the lizard is. The lizard's whole body is dead, and it can't go back in. It's one way. The juice that's in the spinal cord gets excreted out of the tip of this thing. They're parasitic cells. The parasitic cells go into the brain. The old person's consciousness is gone. The body is absolutely, totally dominated, and the lizard is smarter as a human. Over time, it'll develop a rash, it'll lose its hair.
I am open, I am free, and my life is breathing me as I surrender to the will of the divine. No more stories of the past, I am shedding skins at last, and I realize I'm already in heaven. The moment I stop running from the demons in my head, and instead I choose to love them. When saying yes to life, both shadow and light, my suffering is done and I come alive. I am born and I will die, by each breath a final sigh. It doesn't matter where I go, I cannot hide. But when I find my sense of peace, I can walk through hell with ease. I might fall 1,000 times, but I shall rise. And the moment I stop running from the demons in my head, and instead I choose to love them. When saying yes to life, both shadow and light, my suffering is done and I come alive. I want to feel it all. I wear my heart on my sleeve, saying, here I am, can you see me? Oh, I am beautiful what people say, 'cause the moment we stop running from the demons in our heads, and instead we choose to love them, when saying yes to life, both shadow and light, oh, our suffering is done and we come alive. Oh, the moment we stop running from the demons in our heads, and instead we choose to love them, when saying yes to life, oh, shadow and light, oh, our suffering is done and we come alive. Oh, the moment we stop running from the demons in our heads, and instead we choose to love them. Oh, and saying yes to life, both shadow and light, our suffering is done and we come alive.
Now that you know V stands for Vril, you will be able to separate fact from fiction. Almost everything that you see.
Vril is the Draco reptilian lizard things, right? They have a way of shifting their consciousness into human beings by way of parasite. All right, that's why you got to understand the importance of detoxing and stuff like that for parasites. Like parasites, man, is way more realer than y'all ever thought. I'm saying, like, it's so many reasons. This is why we started the whole detox shop. If you haven't been to the detox shop, guys, I am not going to play about it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You look, detoxing is not. It should not be a choice at this point. Detox is like the most important thing you can do as a human being while you're here outside of evolving. You understand what I'm saying? And the reason I say that is because they are purposely putting things in you to either dumb you down or to take you out or to control you. You understand? It's either to dumb you down, to jack up your health, or kill you, or control you. Do you understand? This is how they operate. The stuff that they give us to eat, the stuff they give us to drink, the stuff that they put in the air for us to breathe are all doing those four things. Stuff, your health, your death, controlling you, and also limiting your intelligence. This is what they're doing with the stuff that they putting in the air, the soft metals, the toxics and poisons, and also sterilizing. Let's not forget about that either.
The first matter is the intrinsic deception at the heart of this agenda. And that's something that's become clearer with every new report that surfaces. Whether we choose to call it screen memory, telepathic mind control, technological mind control, or virtual reality scenarios, the entities involved in the abduction phenomenon employ masterful illusory capabilities. And I don't think the importance of this fact can be stressed strongly enough. It must affect all of our thinking and our research when it comes to these alien-human contacts. In Ted's experiences, for example, there were several occasions where such masquerading techniques were employed, and I could spend, as I said, the rest of the morning just dealing with these, and I'm going to be making very brief references, and hope you'll maybe want to read about the rest of it in the book. One instance involved the appearance of Ted's deceased grandfather on board a craft into which he and his grandmother had been taken when Ted was a young boy. I think I spoke about this a couple of years ago when I was first working on Ted's material, and I didn't identify that this was Ted's story I was referring to. The scenario involved persuading his grandmother to engage in a sexual activity with an non-human entity, and when she refused to do so, saying she had only ever made love with her husband and he was dead, the aliens produced the dead husband. In another instance, Ted watched a scenario that surely was not occurring in normal reality terms. I call it a virtual reality scenario, and this began shortly after he had heard a very quiet sound like helicopter blades. And in this ongoing event, after the helicopter blade noise, Ted watched as a a human-looking entity dressed in military clothes popped through the ceiling into the room, holding a young child that was very, very similar to Ted's appearance at the same age. And Ted was told that they were going to return that which had been taken from him. And an account of what followed from that, again, is in the book, and I won't take time to recite everything there to you, but the virtual reality event, there was certainly no human paratrooper popping through the ceiling carrying a young child in reality terms. But the illusion was quite as real as you and I here today. But perhaps the most illuminating of such events that we were able to investigate involved Ted and another woman, a woman who witnessed a third person, another woman, undergoing her own virtual reality episode, again marked at the onset by the sound of a helicopter. Now, some of you may be quick, as they say in the O.J. trial, to rush to get judgment on this and conclude that these events were generated by some terrestrial, governmental, or military covert mind control operation. After all, we've got helicopter blades out there. But it should be noted that only the targeted person in these events heard the helicopters, while others in the same house or same room did not. I don't think our terrestrial helicopters are that selective in the noise they generate. I believe now that the reported and confirmed details in all of these reports are strong evidence against accepting consciously recalled alien encounter reports at face value because of the illusion capabilities, because of the screens, and because of the virtual reality technology that we have witnessed being manifest by these entities. I believe that if we build our theories on such information, the consciously reported information only, we're building on sand, on illusions that the aliens create for us, and I think to confuse and mislead us. Now, this is not to say, however, that all alien encounters are virtual reality events, because there is also plenty of very strong evidence for the physical nature of many of these encounters. So to be perfectly objective, the definition of abduction would have to include any event or scenario that is generated externally for the targeted person, whether it be a physical encounter, a virtual reality scenario, or a telepathic contact. Now, a second important discovery from Ted's investigation, and this was important at least for me, was the possibility of cloned human bodies produced by these abductors. And that's the second thing I'd like to talk about briefly today. In the mid-1970s, a memory of a childhood event surfaced in Ted's mind during the night while he was sleeping. And in an altered state of consciousness, he got out of bed and went to his typewriter in the middle of the night and wrote out this memory as a story. In 1991 and 92, when Ted and Barbara began a series of regressions, it popped up in these events, this scenario that Ted had recalled as a story, but a very different version of that basic story emerged. A version in which he went through what can only be called a horrific experience, in which his original body he perceived as being killed and taken away, and his essence, for lack of a better word, we could call it soul, energy, or whatever term one would like to use, was contained temporarily in a black box, placed on a counter, and transferred shortly thereafter into a cloned copy of young Ted's body. This was his perception of what occurred with him, and this is the first time I had ever heard of such things really in any detail. Now, when we made our external investigation, interviewing people who were part of Ted's family and friends at the times many of these things occurred, several pieces of corroborating items did come out, all of which I tried to present fully in the book, but just briefly, one of the most telling, for me at least, was interviewing Ted's mother. And at the time that Ted recalled being transferred into a different body, his mother recalled the suffering he went through for weeks afterwards, feeling that his body was on fire, having to soak him repeatedly in ice water, trying to bring him some comfort, and noting that the childhood diseases that Ted had had before the cloning recurred afterwards.
So they got all these different methods that's been deployed against you. The powers that be to run this world, this earth, this world that you don't know nothing about, that you're not supposed to know much about, they're doing all this stuff on a regular basis to you. And they deploying, they got frequencies and hurts and things that they sending out to affect you. Now we just start to understand the spiritual being, because we spiritual beings first. Understand the body is nothing but a container for the soul. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your body is nothing but a container for the soul. Okay, and that's how they look at you. It's you just riding in this vessel. I'm just riding in this vessel for this little time being. But you got to take care of the vessel. You understand what I'm saying? But also you got to take care of your spirit. And your spirit, that's the main thing that they want to get out. They want to harness your energy. They want to harvest your energy. You see what I'm saying? Like you got these energy vampires and stuff, man. Anyway, like I said, we're talking about the parasitic part. The real lizard, man, they are able to shift consciousness into you and take over you with these parasites. That's how you got the Black Eye Club. So the new Pope is like he's part of the Black Eye Club. right? I showed you Shea Gilgeous Alexander. Like, that dude, he done been rocking a black eye like half the dang season. Like, he literally is they've taken him over. All right? So, anyway, beside all that, man, you gotta clean your system out, because this is the form of attack that they're using. And these parasites, man, I've been telling y'all about parasites. There's a spiritual link there. Okay, there's some way that they're able to utilize these parasites as a portal in order to get control of you, or in order to possess you. Okay, these parasites, they talk to you. They have a man, as crazy as it sounds, I know this stuff sounds crazy. I know this sounds like a sci-fi movie. Y'all know I used to tell y'all that all the time. I know this sounds like a sci-fi movie, but guess what? This is real life. This is real life, right? So y'all know they had parasites in the walk. They put parasites in all these different things. They spraying parasites. Like, this is how crazy this stuff is. They're spraying parasites that they're hoping that will get inside your system and cause your death. Do you understand what I'm saying? You need to be cleaning your system at least once to twice a year at minimum. If you do not clean your system, guys, you will come down with some form of cancer or some kind of dementia or Alzheimer's, which is basically cancer of the brain. They just broke it down so you wouldn't understand it. Okay? If you got some kind of kidney breaking down and stuff, man, your kidney is being deteriorated because the parasites are eating at it. All right? A lot of times you got blood pressure issues and things like that. That is parasitic. UTIs, okay, yes, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, people shaking and stuff. When people doing all this, they got these Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's and stuff. That's because the parasites are eating at the brain. They're eating the brain. That's why they say you got lesions. Well, how did the lesion get there? The brain just don't start deteriorating by itself. Something is eating it. If you eat it, something, it eats a hole. That becomes a hole. It becomes what they call a lesion. See, they gave it these names so they could throw you off. All right, so cancer of the brain is basically the parasitic thing that's causing dementia and stuff like that. You basically got cancer in the brain. Cancer is just eating that stuff in your body. Okay, and the toxic waste that them parasites are leaving behind, that is the cancers. Do you understand, guys?
Vibration and frequency is everything. It is literally everything. If you take an aspirin, it changes the way you vibrate. And so it blocks the nerves so that you can't feel pain. If you take deworming programs, you change your vibration, and you change your vibration so dramatically that the worms and parasites either have to get out of you, this is no longer a good home, or they die in you.
My name is Wayne Rowland. I'm just like you. I have heard that there's a for disease that's been suppressed. One man called me, and he said, there's not one that's been suppressed, there's been 5. Which one do you want to know about? I said, whatever one works. He sent me to somebody that had an original Rife A unit, and I used it. 3 months later, the was gone. So was my arthritis. And I was so gung-ho on it that I decided that I had to get involved in building Rife machines and get it out there for people and really help them. So I started doing research into the Rife technologies, and I found another man who really knew quite a bit about Rife and had all the frequencies and everything, and I went to see him and paid him a little bit of money, and he became a friend of mine. His name is John Sajeka, and John Sajeka showed me that I wasn't using the Hertz rates to get rid of cancer at all. And that upset me, because I paid good money for this. Now, and why did the cancer leave? And I looked at the Hertz rates that I was using, and lo and behold, there were Hertz rates to get rid of worms and parasites. It turned out that the lead poisoning was giving a bed for parasites to breed in furiously, and it was their waste that had given me cancer. I was absolutely in shock. And the more research I did and the further I got into this, the more I found out that pretty much all disease is caused by worms and parasites.
Parasites are demons, and when you start to compare the two, you'll see there's a lot of similarities. Parasites don't just invade your body, they hijack your nervous system, control us very easily. By definition, both are known to control their host and manipulate behavior. I mean, look at these things. They can influence your thoughts, the types of foods you crave, encourage sexual desires, even your dreams. So it's very possible these parasites act as antennas or conduits for these demonic entities. archons, jinn, demons, whatever you want to call them. But think about it. Why else is there fast food, alcohol, and junk on every street corner? And then you combine that with pesticides, fungicides, microplastics, heavy metals. Think about what kind of influences you could be under. These are the sources of addiction. This is why people can't break those bad habits or those vices. You ask yourself, why'd you do that? Why'd you eat that? Why do you keep doing those things you know are bad for you? Is it you, or is it the parasite forcing that self-destructive behavior? Now, even the Bible says some demons can only be casted out through fasting. Anyone who's done a deep fast knows those shakes of abstaining from certain foods. You're like a drug addict being revealed your true addictions. But then it gets easier as you starve those demons out. So this is what no one tells you about a parasite cleanse. Killing the parasites is just the first step. You still have to flush them out of your system, otherwise you're left with a bunch of dead worms inside of you.
Like, I'm not a doctor, but I'm telling y'all these are facts. And anybody come out and give y'all the right information, they dispose of them. Because they don't want to mess with the depopulation program. They don't want people messing with the finances that they making off of this stuff. But that's just one side of it. You have to also remember that the parasitic part allows for the possession. Okay, these parasites, man, it's a spiritual connection with the parasites and demons, or what you want to call demons, whatever, man. But it ain't so much as demons. It's just like spirits can travel in and out. All right, just like spirits can travel in and out of you, but spirits also can to integrate themselves into other life forms and things like that, man.
Explain this in a presentation. Also, I want to connect with you guys. That's important to me as well. So, having said that, what you see right now is the Eye of Horus. And if you look at it very closely, you realize it is the eye of a serpent. And within the eye, you'll see, like, it looks like a worm that's going inside the eye and encircles the eye and comes out of the eye. And what that is a real spirit. Now, the real spirit is like if you see it in reality, in your face, it looks like a black, phlegmy-like spirit. And it goes into the left eye, and it implants itself. It implants itself almost like the way a serpent would. It plants their eggs in like a nest, and that's what it does in the pineal gland of the human host. And what happens then? The person's third eye opens, it cracks open because of the real spirit, and this person is given these abilities, these phenomenal abilities, psychic abilities, all kinds of, this is how people who are musicians get their inspiration and all these sort of things that happen. This is how people discover things like the atom bomb. This is what happened with Einstein. So this is what this real spirit does, and this is why it's very intoxicating and for these people. That this is why they want to receive it. They want to have the gift like the gods, so, but unfortunately the Bible tells us this is going to backfire, because they're going to see things, as the Bible says, that will cause their hearts to fail. And so with that said, in order for you to receive this real spirit, you had to have taken the mark of the beast. Now, of course, in ancient Egypt, the mark of the beast was not in the form of a chip. The chip wasn't made manifested until, of course, modern times. But back in ancient Egypt, it was implied consent to be part of the army of darkness. So with that implied consent and with sacrifices and certain rituals, they were able to prove that they can receive the real. Now, the Antichrist wants these people to actually take the chip. So these people you see with the black eye have actually taken the mark of the beast. And this is why I say, another reason why I say it is fruitless to pray for these people, because the Word of God says once they take the mark, that's it. There's no turning back for them. You know why? Because once this infests them, they're completely taken over. They have given their entire vessel to darkness, and that's it. And that person is gone. It's almost it's what the Bible says. These are like dead man's tombs. You're looking at these celebrities, but inside it is a complete dark spirit that took over, that makes them feel like gods. But eventually the party is over, and they start to see exactly what they bought. when they sold themselves off to Satan. And every single one of them at one point regret it, because the veil is removed and they see exactly what's been operating in their life. They see the lies that's been against them. They're not going to be gods, because what Lucifer promises them, the Antichrist, Satan, whomever you want to call them under this umbrella of wickedness, they promised them to be gods, like the pharaohs, like Nero, like all these. They promise them these things that they will have. And I mentioned this in another video, that they'll enter into the eternal golden city, where they will defeat Jesus Christ and have this eternal golden city where everyone are gods. But this is a lie. This is a lie. Now they realize at one point that they have been sold the bill of goods. And once they take the mark of the beast, it is too late. That's it. Which is why many of them fall into a deep depression, why a lot of them fall into a psychosis, why a lot of them are constantly on drugs, because they do not know what to do with themselves, because eventually these spirits just completely take over, and they're living a walking hell even before they actually go to hell. So with that said, I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and mostly because my point is this, that prophecy has been fulfilled. And I'm going to say this, that I absolutely believe that any moment Jesus Christ can come get his people. That's how much prophecy has been fulfilled. And with that said, have a good day and God bless.
I've did videos about this before, man, so I don't know if I'm gonna go all in depth, but I just wanted to point that out. But right now, yeah, like the folks that I know that took the walk, they're having parasitic problems, but we know that they put a parasite in the walk, and these people are having these new type of parasitic issues. All right. But we also remember, I did the video, we was talking about people that took the walk started acting differently and stuff, right? So what would cause them to act differently? Possession, all right? If a parasite, see, and we got to get away from thinking we know stuff, because we ain't been told what's really going on. These parasites are able to control us. They control your habits. They control your sexual desires, your eating habits. Like, they control your behavior, your moods, your attitude.
Demons, reptilians, real lizards, just a facade for the real enemy, the parasite. And guess where the parasite is? Within.
Demons. What are they? The stuff of fantasy fiction, horror flicks, bedtime stories, bad dreams. The imagined shadows that occupy our closets and
that's what we call manifestation.
take his power away.
Yes.
What else can you do there?
I take our joy away. Make her not want to be around her children.
Burn him again and break his will down.
All mammals that interact with humans have a schedule for routine treatment of parasites, except for one. Are you a mammal? When was the last time you were prescribed a schedule to be routinely treated for parasites? The immune system of all mammals naturally fights off parasites. Yet, all mammals except one are still given a schedule for routine treatment of parasites.
COVID says that a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, is now recovered.
We immediately threw the kitchen sink out, all kinds of meds, monoclonal.
I can see that this desire for anal sex.
Toxoplasma gondii, a parasite that infects cats and can also infect humans. T. gondii can cause changes in the behavior of infected mice, making them more likely to be attracted to cat urine. This increases the chances that the mice will be eaten by a cat, which is the only way for T. gondii to complete its life cycle.
I got interested in doing a parasite cleanse. About 2 weeks into the cleanse, I noticed that the sugar I was using in my coffee was making me feel sick to my stomach. This was totally new to me, as I've always used sugar in my coffee and indulged in sweet things daily. When I noticed this, I stopped using sugar, and to my surprise, the coffee tasted great without it.
It turns out
that sugar cravings are a symptom of parasite infestation, because sugar is one of the parasite's favorite foods. This experience confirms something I had read about, how parasites can control what you think you want and make you crave what the parasite wants. I realized it wasn't me craving the sugar. It was the parasites that wanted it, and they had some way of making me think that I wanted it. In reality, sugar is really bad for the body and can destroy your health. A couple days later, I noticed that I wasn't feeling my normal interest in sex. At the time, I just considered that I was really wore out and tired from the vigorous parasite cleansing and flushing I was doing. When a person is heavily parasitized, parasite cleansing can be a real ordeal, mentally and physically. It's not unusual that the mind-controlling parasites will make you think and feel like they think and feel, that if you continue with a parasite cleanse, you might die. That's how turpentine makes them feel, so that's how they make you feel too. This happened to me, and when I told my friend that I was going to quit parasite cleansing, he asked me if it was me or the parasites talking. He explained to me that this was just more evidence that parasites can make you love what they love and hate what they hate. He also pointed out that it shows that I was really damaging the parasites, sort of hitting them where it hurts, and they were fighting back with everything they had, and they were losing the fight. Parasites really, really hate turpentine. So I decided it's the single-celled parasite called Toxoplasma gondii, which, according to knowledge that's currently considered mainstream science, this parasite can only sexually reproduce in the gut of a cat. Normal, healthy insight that in humans it's parasites that create the interest, desire, and attraction for anal sex, whether it's in men or women, straight or gay, to facilitate the parasite's reproductive cycle and accomplish spreading of the parasites to new hosts. Suddenly, I realized that my desire for anal sex was exactly like the Toxoplasma-infected mouse looking for sex with a cat. Now beyond the parasite's influence, I realized that anal sex is nothing more than behavior driven by parasites that enables and facilitates the spread and reproduction of the parasites. And as with the sugar, I could see it's the parasites that want it, not the human. In that moment, I was able to see exactly what he was telling me in the light of my 3 years of daily thoughts of gay sex, which had ended a few days before this revelation, when these desires and urges went away along with the parasites I was flushing. I was blown away, and I was able to verify that his observation was correct, and I realized I was now free from the influence of whatever parasite or parasites got me thinking and acting like I was gay. I realized
Brain parasite toxoplasma infects about 1/3 of the populations of developed countries, about 1 in 4 adults in the U.S. But the lifelong presence of dormant stages of this parasite in the brain and muscles of infected humans is usually considered asymptomatic from a clinical point of view. There's like this dynamic interplay between the parasite, the human brain, and our immune response that results in this détente that promotes the lifelong persistence of the parasite in our brain. Many independent studies have shown that this parasitic disease could be indirectly responsible for hundreds of thousands of deaths due to its effect on the rate of traffic and workplace accidents and also suicides. Moreover, this latent toxoplasmosis is probably one of the most important risk factors for schizophrenia.
Talk a moment about pork, ham, bacon, pepperoni. These are some of the things that the Scripture tells us we should not eat. The ushers have already locked the doors. And of course, this has to do with anything that comes from a pig, a hog, a swine. And I know some of you love pork chops. You love ham and cheese sandwiches. I grew up on all that. I love bacon. But for our health's sake, we have to be willing to make some changes. God knows what's best for us. And back in the Bible days, the pig was considered unclean. It was never considered a source of food. And one of the main reasons why was the pig will eat anything. A pig eats waste and garbage. This is kind of gross, but a pig will eat its own dead child. A pig will eat other sick and infected animals. They're scavengers. And what's interesting is the pig has one of the quickest and poorest digestive systems of any animal. It takes only 4 hours, and that's not good. Because the digestive system is so quick and so poor, many times the toxins from the food are not properly eliminated, and they are stored in the pig's fat. That means that pig can eat all kinds of filth and garbage. It can eat other infection. 4 hours later...
There are 3 basic rules. You can't eat some animals, the animals you do eat need to be slaughtered in a special way, and you can't combine milk and meat. Let's break that down. What animals can't you eat? Famously, of course, pork and shrimp and shellfish, but the Torah has a long list of animals, calling some of them clean and some of them unclean. You are...
It is halal. People say these people chant their magical slogans on the meat, so when we eat it, we want to be Muslims. That is the most foolish statement I've ever heard. All the creatures have been given life by the Almighty. What gives me the right to take the life of a cow away? I don't have the right. So the Almighty says, well, under certain conditions, you may be granted permission to take that life away in a specific way. So I am not allowed to destroy the creatures of the Almighty for no purpose. I cannot even destroy the ecosystem without purpose. If I want an animal from the point of its birth to the point of its slaughter is extremely important. You need to be completely humane even with animals. You need to treat them, give them that life that they deserve, feed them properly, give them that air and the space. If you were to look at abattoirs that belong to non-Muslims, they are very barbarically run. To be honest, why is it that the throat is used? Because of the central nervous system. Powerful statement. Sometimes people hack these animals to death. People say, you need to stun these animals. Did you know that there is research that proves that stunning an animal actually creates greater pain than if you don't stun the animal? People say, how? To use a sharp blade, quick slice. When I burn my fingers, what happens? A message goes from the sensory nerves to my brain, central nervous system. It says, you are hurt, lift your hand up. It happens within a split second. But if the central nervous system is ruptured from the jugulars, the pain, the message goes up, it gets stuck there because it cannot go up anymore. Blood system, bloodstream, out. So what happens? It numbs to a halt. That is halal. If you were to slice it, the message will not go from the bottom to the top, nor from the top to the bottom, because the jugulars are gone. Windpipe and food pipe. And you have to take the permission of the giver of that.
Right? And think about it. You might got one parasite that do that. What if you got 100 parasites in you? If you look, if you've never cleansed your body out, if you never cleansed your person, think about how many parasites you probably got in you. And I don't care if anybody that's watching this right now, you have parasites in you, or you have a parasite at the least minimal, you probably got a couple hundred. You see what I'm saying? And they put these eggs in you, and that's the thing they were talking about. Now, I think I might have played a piece there where the guy was talking about, they noticed that this was back in like the 1800s. He was treating people in like Chicago. And what he was finding that people that did these detoxes at like 2 or 3 times a year, they never really had to go to the hospital. But they had the people that didn't clean their system, and these people seem to always came down with cancer.
Tell me what your theory is in terms of disease and how you recommend that disease is treated.
I generalized because I saw so many diseases that I was working on to be due to a parasite and a toxin in combination, kind of a collusion between them maybe, that I generalized and said all diseases are due to a combination of some parasite or it's something that's trying to live on you, and a toxin, maybe a solvent, maybe a heavy metal that's facilitating that invader. Well, the easiest example that comes to mind is diabetes. You have the pancreatic fluke invading the pancreas and pollutant wood alcohol, methyl alcohol, wood alcohol, which pollutes nearly all the processed food that we have on the market in tiny amounts. But by the time you're drinking and eating it all day long with that little bit, it adds up. And that combination, I always see in diabetes. That might not be all there is to it, but if you correct those 2 things, you recover from your diabetes.
I was really shocked when I found out that this is something that affects every single living human. In fact, every single living organism on the face of the earth. Could be leading a healthy lifestyle. You could be jogging, eating raw food, taking vitamins and all those kind of things. But these guys don't care. These guys are persistent. They're dangerous. They're deadly. They've been around for millions of years. They know what they're doing. And they're inside of all of us. And we're constantly being exposed to this. This is something that we all need to take very seriously.
This is not science fiction. This is scary, it's real, and it's serious. Monsters living inside us that eat our bodies and control our emotions, urges, and thoughts.
As a colon hydrotherapist for approximately 21 years now, you wouldn't believe what I see coming out of people's bodies.
This is not just a third world country thing. Everybody has them. Even normal people with lots of money live in suburbia who take showers 3 times a day. If you eat sushi, you have parasites. 1 square inch of raw sushi meat can contain 10,000 parasite larvae and eggs that begin hatching inside you the minute you eat it. The most common kind is tapeworms, which can grow to 60 feet long and live in your intestines for decades. If you have pets, you are guaranteed to have parasites. You can't kill them all, only control them, because our bodies have trillions of cells which rely on helpful bacteria like probiotics to work right. If we kill all the organisms in our body, we kill ourselves. The secret is to keep the bad guys to a minimum. Make our bodies so healthy and clean, the undesirable guests won't want to stick around. Parasites are living alien creatures who live off of others. They eat your food, they poop their waste inside you, making your blood, lymph, and tissues toxic. They can multiply so much in your gut what you think is fat may in fact be entire nests of parasites.
Subject to this, like it or not, it's a fact.
Tests done at funeral homes show that 97% of the body fluids in people were totally consumed with parasites and worms. Scientists are just beginning to discover exactly how powerful and disturbing these hidden monsters can be. Our cells are controlled by chemical signals. Parasites emit a chemical that directly affects our behavior, thoughts, decisions, and urges. Are you willing to do what it takes to free yourself from something that's controlling you from inside? Who's in charge, you or them?
If doctors couldn't handle anything, and here this little priest had come out of the woodwork and handled my lead poisoning like he did and some other health issues, and I went back to the doctors to tell them there was no interest. They weren't interested. That floored me. So I said to them, what else are you not telling us? And that meant I had to go back into history and find out where they'd made a mess of it. And as the further I got back in history through the 1800s, I began to realize that, look, did they know absolutely nothing? I mean, that's the opinion that everyone basically has. You know, back there in the 1800s, they knew nothing. So I started finding books that were published by doctors through the 1800s, books that they read and books that they learned from. And lo and behold, out of every single book were deworming programs, parasite programs, all through America, all through Canada, all through the world, parasite programs, and pictures of parasites that they had found in flesh. For doctors in those days did autopsies, and they found parasites.
No one is resistant to worms and parasites. And look at the 1800s. We go through the 1800s, what did the doctors do then? They dewormed you. And the best man I like in America is Dr. Chase out of Chicago. He wrote 3 books. You can get them in the library in the old book section, Dr. Chase. In the center of his book, he's got a whole bunch of remedies for deworming. And you know what? He kept records. I love it. And here's what he stated. For some strange reason, after 40 years of practice, I have asked everybody how often they deworm, and the people that deworm every year never come in for anything. They come in for checkups. They're healthy. And the people that never deworm, except for 2 or 3 years down the road, need some doctoring. And the people that never deworm, well, we're starting a new clinic for them because they have this strange new disease called cancer. And Dr. Chase got an 80% success rate right in Chicago in the 1800s of getting rid of cancer by deworming.
So we started to search for parasite programs just to see what was going on, to see if maybe something was happening that we really didn't understand. So I did myself first. And lo and behold, I got 8 and 10 inch critters out of me. They were white, First of all, they were in the toilet water and they were all bunched up. I thought it was mucus. Until, just for a curiosity, I threw some hot water in the toilet to warm it up, and then went, and gosh, they strung out and they were swimming all over. And I thought, oh my heavens, look at that. Since then, in 5 years, I've dewormed 100,000 of you. And you should see and hear the stories. The last pictures are coming in when I get home. They should be there. The woman got 18-inch long critters out of her that were so thick she couldn't get them into a top of a juice bottle. She got 8 of them. They're usually translucent, they're usually white, and there's some of them that look like tarantula spiders, some of them look like grasshoppers, some of them look like little tiny miniature sailboats. Some of them look like little spacecraft. There, this is really strange stuff. And every single person I have dewormed, I have never yet dewormed anyone where they didn't tell me, hey, I feel 25% better. Now here's the problem. We go to Safeway and we buy vegetables, right? Or we go to our garden and get vegetables. Well, thousands and thousands of eggs, parasite eggs, float in the soil and the water in the soil, and the roots from the plants suck them up into the leaves. Now, those eggs are not supposed to hatch in your body. Nature has seen to that. They're supposed to pass right through. But you buy salad dressing. Now, when they make salad dressing, they've got this huge stainless steel vat, and it makes 1 million bottles of ranch. And when they're finished with that, they want to make honey mustard. So they clean the machine out with what's called food-grade propalcohol. And when they're in a hurry like that, they don't get in there with rags and wipe it up. They just pour in the new ingredients and mix it up, and you're consuming what's called propalcohol. So we take a Petri dish and we grind up lettuce from Safeway or the health food market down there with organic vegetables, pour in a little bit of salad dressing from one of the food stores, and we grind it up and we put a swab on it on a Petri dish, and in the morning all the flukes have hatched by the hundreds. So what you're doing at body temperature is you're hatching flukes by the thousands every single day you eat salads and all this other stuff, and they get into your bloodstream. Now you have T cells, an immune system, and they see these critters and their war starts. And some of them, they just need to find a place of safety. For some reason, your pancreas gathers up wood alcohol. A fluke or two finds their way in there, and they grow up and they have babies and they start making a mess. They have feces, you know. Well, the flukes that are living in your pancreas, the feces there collects single-celled organisms called viruses. Their waste shuts the pancreas down, and you've got diabetes. And now breast tumors. Breast tumors, it seems now, are just about as easy to get rid of as a common cold. It's caused by parasites. And so your thymus gets full of parasites, and here you have your thymus now, it's not operating properly, and the thyroid, it doesn't operate properly. That affects the acid in your stomach. The strength of the acid in your stomach starts to shut down. And what do you get? You get mold off a fruit growing there, and you wind up with candida. There's an 1800s remedy. It's called Lugol's iodine. For those that are not allergic to iodine, if you can eat shellfish, shrimp, or the sort, you buy yourself a little bit of Lugol's iodine, knocks candida out just about overnight, certainly will in 3 days. You take 6 drops, 3 times a day, for 3 days. The mold and the fungus and all that nonsense growing in your stomach and all that candida growing there knocks it out flat. It's only $8. Listen to this. You know, I always believed that Alzheimer's was caused by aluminum in the brain eating the neurotransmitters out. Is that not correct? That's what we all believe? Well, the aluminum in the brain, which is there, is not eating out the neurotransmitters. It's the organisms, the bugs and the parasites that need the aluminum's vibration to go into a breeding frenzy. And it's their waste that's eating out the neurotransmitters. People that are super parasitical, they have bad breath. Halitosis is a main cause. By the time you got halitosis, you're loaded, because that's worm urine and worm droppings that you're breathing out. So it's no wonder your breath's bad. It's time to deworm, and it's time to get them out. So what I've discovered, and this is really important, You know when you go to the health food store and you do your thing and you get all those vitamins and you do this program and that program and you do all this stuff, you go so far and you can't get any further. You hit a wall. And you're aging. You're getting older. And so we put a program together, and I tell you it's a deworming program. When they get into your thymus, do you know what happens? Your thymus starts to shut down. It disturbs the quantity and quality of acid in your stomach, and as a result of that, you come down with Epstein-Barr, chronic fatigue syndrome, or candida. The mold now grows in your stomach because the acid isn't strong enough to kill it, and so the fruits you eat, here you've got a new problem. You're developing warts and all kinds of other things, and it's a mold problem. When you've got flukes in your thymus, you develop chronic fatigue and Epstein-Barr. All you need is a deworming program to shut it down. I'm telling you folks, this is big stuff. And now the FDA is on to us. They now know what the water will do. They now know what all this stuff is due, so they're prescriptionalizing everything. The FDA is shutting it all down with a new program they put in motion that is a labeling issue. And they're taking all colloids off the market. But the point is they're not, the FDA doesn't care. They've got you where they want you, you're not doing anything, and so they're shutting everything down.
Right. For ailments, he even said specifically for ailments and sicknesses, drink a little wine, not just water.
These parasites are able to influence the nerves of these animals. And so the idea behind that is like, okay, maybe these parasites are related to demons in the way that, like, you look at these old records about demons being able to like influence your thoughts and get you to do things that you wouldn't normally be doing. It's because these parasites are influencing you to act in different ways than you normally would in order to continue their reproduction, right? And to continue their lives.
I mean, look, think about, and by the way, this idea of parasites getting into animals, making the animals kill themselves, Christ casting the spirits into the pigs, and the pigs all go kill themselves.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This kind of sounds a lot like that. Okay.
Right. And by the way, kosher law back in the day was protecting you from parasites you would pick up from eating pigs. That's why pigs weren't kosher, in part. That's one of the theories that people think is it was something that would be eaten, right, that would actually get you parasites. So it was a way, it was a health code to keep you healthy. And so maybe
keep you from all of these guys.
You can't.
But what if I told you that cancer, acne rosacea, multiple sclerosis, and rheumatoid arthritis, 4 different diseases in 4 different areas of medicine, what if they can all be treated with parasite medication? And that turns out for those diseases to be true. A pathologist, I think McDonald is his name, he was in Florida, I believe. He looked at 100% of MS, dead MS patients. He had a series of 10 patients that died of multiple sclerosis. 100% of them had parasites in the brain and spinal cord. So in the big picture here, we have a book called the ICD-10, which shows that we have 70,000 disease diagnoses you can come up with and codify for Medicare and Medicaid and all these different government agencies. Are there really 70,000 diseases? Or are there 70,000 presentations of a few root causes? That's where we need to go back.
We're all subject to this, like it or not. It's a fact.
Is it possible that there's a link between demonic entities and the negative parasitic beings that live in our bodies? When we talk about demons, what are we talking about? Evil spiritual entities? Or are they just a figment of our imagination? Well, I would say they are very real, and not only are they spiritual beings, but they can manifest into this world in many ways, and one of those ways is through parasitic organisms. Let's start with, what are the common symptoms of demon possession? 1. They have the power to influence your mind and to fill it with destructive thoughts. 2. They can have an influence on the dream realm, manifesting as shadow beings during sleep paralysis. 3. Possession usually involves becoming sick and constantly tired. 4. Your spiritual powers and ambition begin to diminish. 5. Over-extreme sexual desires that can never be fulfilled. 6. Material and egotistical desires that end up driving the person possessed and mad. And that's just the start. I'm sure it could go on, but I want you to think about the connection between demons and the infestation of parasites in the body. Most humans are not aware of how many parasites they really have. Almost all of our eating habits result in parasitic beings finding a home in the waste that fills our body. If you eat meat, let me just let you know, you are filled with parasites. Not only are high-protein diets extremely acidic, but the body doesn't know what to do with all this excess protein. And what ends up happening is our sewage system gets backed up. Also, most of us are completely enzyme deficient, and there's no way that our bodies can actually digest this meat. So you know what happens? It literally stays in your body and rots. If only you knew what your colon really looked like inside. Oh, but you're vegan. You think you're an exception? Think again. Most vegans consume an extreme amount of protein in order to compensate for not eating meat. Most of them cook all of their foods. Again, enzyme deficient, and top that with genetic deficiencies, we end up having issues removing toxins from our body. All of this cooked food is dead, and your body has no idea what to do with all this toxicity. The only way to protect itself is by forming mucus. This mucus is what's saving your body. But what tends to happen is this hardens and stays in our body for a very long time. If you eat 3 times a day, you're cooking your foods, and you're not taking extra measures to cleanse your body, then you are most likely infested with parasites, meat or no meat. I think most of us can't imagine the amount of energy that we could have if we remove these parasites from the body. It's not just that, most people don't even realize that their thoughts are not even their own. This also explains why it's so difficult to silence the mind.
It's not really that crazy to think that if there is something inside of us that wanted to thrive, like a parasite, that they could influence their host to make decisions that create a more hospitable environment for their kind. These microbial organisms absolutely have the ability to steer the thoughts, emotions, and actions of their host. Sounds an awful lot like possession to me.
You have beings inside of you that just sit and demand what to eat, they feast all day long, and then they poop inside of you all day and night. Parasites have the ability to affect your mind. Well, we usually don't become aware of disease in our body until it manifests as a serious issue. Most people don't consider that maybe most of their tiny symptoms like tiredness, headaches, bad odor, depression, and itchiness are the first signs that something isn't right. But what do most people do? They go to the doctor and get these symptoms suppressed with what they assume will be a quick fix. These chemical medicines do not solve the issue, they just suppress it. Eventually, it will come back, and when it does, it will be a full-on disease. If we can accept that we have parasites, we can start to see why this would be connected to demons. Parasites are beings of death. They thrive off of death and rotting. They too can have an influence on your dreams.
I think a common misconception is that freedom of being an adult is getting to drink booze and eat as much pizza and ice cream as you want, but those are drugs pushed on us as kids, and when we become adults, we think that we're choosing to eat those things, but all that's really happening is we're becoming slaves to our cravings. Much like a thrall is a slave to a demon. It's exactly like drug addiction. It's called the Food and Drug Administration for a reason. Why would food and drugs be lumped together if they didn't serve the same purpose? Alcohol is even called spirits. When someone has an addiction problem, they call it demons. It's also common knowledge that addiction is a disease. So if addiction is a disease, as well as a demon, then what makes any other disease not a form of demon? Typically, parasites are these long, worm-like things or fibrous beings that inhabit our guts, and they resemble antennae or fiber optics. Begs the question, if parasites can influence our thoughts, and they can influence our dreams, and they can influence our desires, then could it be possible that parasites are antennae for demonic entities to manifest in the body? Para, prefix. A prefix with many meanings, including alongside of, beside, near, resembling, beyond, apart from, and abnormal. Site, an area of ground in which a town, building, or monument is constructed. So if we imagine our bodies as temples, this word begins to make a lot of sense. Something that is inside your body that shouldn't be. Almost all religions attribute worms and parasites as being evil or the work of Satan. Is it influenza? Or is it the influence of demonic entities? The word influenza even sounds like influence, so what do people say when you sneeze? They bless you. Why would they do that? The average answer, of course, is that people in the olden days were just dumb Christian zealots who attributed everything to Jesus and blessings, because the general idea is that they were stupider in the past. However, I expect that the perpetuation of that idea is to cause confusion and mistrust in all things spiritual.
Even schizophrenia, where many people see and hear evil voices from all around, could be caused by disharmony of the body and an infestation of parasites. From Science Daily, quote, recent studies have found evidence of worrisome impacts, including an association with schizophrenia because of the parasite T. gondii. It's found in the brain as well in the muscles. In addition, field and laboratory studies in mice, rats, and people have shown that infection with T. gondii triggers change in behavior and personality. There's a study that goes over this same exact thing. A growing body of evidence suggests a correlation between schizophrenia and exposure to infectious agents. The majority of studied cases concerns the infection caused by T. gondii, an obligatory intracellular parasite that infects about 1/3 of the entire human population, according to the available data. Quote, numerous epidemiological case control studies show a higher prevalence of T. gondii infestation in individuals with various psychiatric and behavior disorders, including schizophrenia. A lot of these studies are just focusing on one parasite alone, but really, they have no clue what's actually going on in the body. That's another thing I've always accepted growing up, that the medical establishment actually knows what they're doing. I have no idea why we think this. Doctors do not heal anyone. Allopathic medicine fails at solving any issues, and most of the time, it just makes it worse. Again, why do we assume that these people actually know what these chemicals are doing in our body? I'm sure they understand it from a very boxed-in perspective, but they have no idea how it affects our body as a whole. The parasites love antibacterials. It doesn't kill them all, by the way. It just completely destroys your gut flora and kills all the good bacteria. You have parasites in your brain, in your heart, and when you take these medications, it destroys what you have left of good bacteria, just making it easier for the parasites to thrive. We just stuff ourselves all day long with mostly indigestible foods that just sit in our body and rot, while our body overworks and tires itself trying to get rid of all this waste that never ends.
It's just like, guys, if you sit there and watch, if you ever watch like some fly larvae, if it's on some fruit or something, if that fly larvae sit there long enough and these parasites start to continue to eat at the fruit, what happens to the fruit? It disappears. It's gone. It dissolves. It disintegrates, right? Because the fly larvae or the parasites that's on that eats it away. So what would we call that? We would call it the cancer of the fruit. So the fruit is being eaten by cancer, right? But inside the body is something else, okay? And then you got these other things, man, that's in the body that keeps your body from generating the stomach acid that kills like fungi and mold and stuff. So mold and fungi and stuff will grow in your stomach if you get these certain toxins in your body that keep you from formulating that, which it affects certain cells in the body, man. It's let me see how do I put this. It's a process, okay, that has been implemented by these different sciences and stuff that have been working against you, not working in your favor. They've developed things. Like I tell you, when you donate or you put money toward these different programs, it's never to help you. They do stuff to generate different ideas on ways to kill you. But that's beside the point, all right? Because this stuff has been going on for ages. All right, this is just their method of control, and this is a highly intelligent way to control the population and to get the stuff that they want, they desire. All right, so the world's population is infested with parasites. All right, and the people that don't know this, they end up on their deathbed a lot sooner than others. All right, and they die from these different things, and they don't know what happened. They don't know what hit them. All right, I'm telling y'all now, because those that listen, they're going to extend their life by potentially decades. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you don't listen and you go another 10 years, and a lot of you going to come down with some form of cancer or something. You're not going to just go through life healthy. Mostly people are dying, and they say they died of natural causes. People are dying from kidney failures and stuff like that, and these heart diseases and these different neurological issues and stuff, and cancer. This is the way people are dying, right? So in order to prevent that, guys, you have got to cleanse out your system of these parasites. Not just because of that, but also because of the possession and the spiritual piece to it. So it's win-win either way you go. If you don't do the bare minimum, guys, at some point this is going to affect you, and by that time it may be very well be too late. Now, in the case of the person I'm talking about, they got the MS. It's getting worse. It's deteriorating their body. I don't know if it's something that can help them once it gets to that point. But because you think about it, now the body regenerates itself. All right, it does regenerate itself. God did give us the power to heal and regenerate, but they've given us stuff as children, like these different things that they give us, these schedules and whatnot, that cause our body not to have the regenerative powers that they're supposed to have. Now, like I said, if somebody does have like MS and stuff like that, the question becomes, does like them lesions and stuff that they have, all them holes has been dug, will they grow back, and will you regain your memory and stuff like that? Will your mind start to function back like it was? That I don't know. But like Dr. Lee Merritt was saying, they found in 100% of the MS patients after they died, they found lesions. They found parasites. They didn't say lesions. They say we found parasites on their brain and their spinal cord, right? So now they talking about all these younger people coming down with these neurological issues and these dementias and Alzheimer's and stuff. That's because that parasite that they shot off in everybody. So their way of controlling the population is injecting parasites into you and not letting you know that you got them, so that you will die once those parasites come of age of maturity and you have a cancer, and they call it cancer when it's doing certain things. But think about this. It's eating away at the body. The cancer very well is from the toxic waste that they're laying. But if they're eating away at something as well, that's still a condition in itself. So you're eating at something, so that's deteriorating, and also it's laying the toxic waste, so that's another form of deterioration of the body. But it's also another type of, like, it's like almost like an infection or something, okay? Because now this toxic stuff in the body that these things are laying, just like your toxic waste is, you can't put that on you, and that's feces and stuff. That's toxic, right? You don't want feces on you. That'll cause you fall. So insect feces and parasite feces is like the same thing. It's toxic and it's dangerous. It's not healthy for the body, right? So either way, man, we don't understand. We don't know if it's like, we know that these different beings that run this world, they have implemented the parasitic weapon. Okay, the parasites are used as a weapon. Do we understand? Okay, they know good and well that it's gonna take out a good majority of people at some point in their life. And as long as you don't know that, you ain't gonna be able to save yourself or spare yourself. So this is a method, a weapon that they use. How many ages of decades or centuries have they been using parasites? God knows. You know, civilizations before us, God knows. They've been doing the same thing, right? They've been using these parasites to do it. And then you look back in the books from the early century, 1800s and stuff, they were more inept to deal with it at that point, and we didn't have like we did have books and stuff back then, but we didn't have the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds take over the medical industry back then. Now, they very well were involved with the stuff, but to the same degree that they are today, I don't know. Right, but you know, people was dying back then of parasitic diseases and things too. But I think it's different now when you got all these different levels or lines of communications or different, you know, different ways to transcribe information opposed to how it was back then. So the chances of people having these issues, it's a lot greater now because the misinformation that's being pushed out there, like they're telling you, do this, go do that. And y'all got to understand, like I told y'all, you look at my YouTube channel, that's proof in itself. Like my YouTube channel alone, I'm telling y'all the right stuff to do to help save your life, and they're labeling it misinformation, but they'll sit out there and put stuff on commercials and stuff every day that I showed y'all and proving to y'all is actually killing you. They pushing that, promoting that. So you got to look at who's in power, who's in control. The beings that's been here have been doing that. They very well were doing it back then too. I showed y'all the bubonic plague, and we know the swine flu, and it was one before that. Can't think of it. But they were all every 100 years they ran a depopulation program. Every 100 years down to the month. Woo! That's some cold stuff, right? They ran these population programs. So, these depopulation programs. So we understand that these beings have been plotting and planning these things out strategically, basically attacking us. But they don't look at it like attack. They're like, they just some livestock. Just do it. Drop the indigo parasite on them and just get rid of a couple 100 million. Hell, let's just do that. This is how they think. All right. So we have to understand that, man, and we have to be proactive. All right. I just was talking to, man, seeing this, folks going through this MS, this dementia, all this stuff, man, and knowing what I know today. I got on the phone with my mom so real quick. I'm like, Mom, I'm about to send you another detox package. Detox right now. Like, I want my mom, I want her to outlive most, elderly people. I want her to be one of them mothers that live to be like 100 and something, 120 or something. And we could look back at that time like, dang, well, she never got Alzheimer's. She never got dementia. She didn't come down with the cancer. She didn't come down with the blood diseases or nothing. I want my mom to be one of the people. Now that I know what I know, I feel like I can make a difference in the lives of my family members and friends. So for me, like, I'm doing my detox, but I'm making sure that everybody, get the detoxes and stuff like that so that they can do their thing. So yeah. Anyway, guys, like I said, I'm just, now that I know, and it's a thing, it's a good thing I got the channel and stuff, man. I wish I could reach more people. Because it's like, oh, you found a cure. It's not necessarily I found the cure, but I found the remedy for outliving the average life expectancy for most people, which is simple. It's simple. Just clean your system. Because they're using it as a depopulation program. And if we know this is what they're doing to depopulate, then all we got to do is clean that out. And that was you should get your full life expectancy. Like, you should get all of your years. All right, because not only are we talking about eliminating the potential of ending up with Alzheimer's, dementia, memory loss, and all this neurological stuff and cancer, but you also talking about better health, because those parasites also are the reason why your immune system is depleted and you cannot fight off diseases and infections the same. Not just that, because they put other stuff and toxins and poisons in the schedules that we took as children to bust us up as far as our health, but we also know that stuff was supposed to cut off our spirituality. Guys, I keep telling you, you don't know this world. This world is not what you thought it was. It's not what it's made out to be. Okay? We just getting secrets and stuff that a lot of people don't have. So you got to take advantage of that. Take advantage as far as helping your health, but also as far as helping your IQ level and also helping you evolve spiritually. All of this stuff is something that's at your disposal now. Okay? There's no excuse for some people to have some of the issues they have now. Right? Like, you can't come down with dementia, Alzheimer's and stuff if you don't have parasites in your brain. But if you leave the parasites in your system and they hatch, these eggs that are constantly being put in our system, if you allow them things to hatch and they go throughout your body, you're going to have some kind of jacked up problem. All right? And understand that like 70% of people over their lifetime end up with one of these cancers or dementias or something like that. Or one of these parasite related deaths. So if you can eliminate that as one of your issues, then by golly, why not? It's my thing. So like I said, as far as me, man, I just know what I'm doing for myself. I know what I'm doing for my family and stuff, man, is making sure, because this is bigger than just the health thing. It's also part of the spiritual part, okay? The spiritual battle that's going on, all right? Like, this is a war of wars that's been going on for ages. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people have died and they never knew why they died. They don't know how they died. They don't know nothing about anything that's going on. You are more privileged to the information. Do what thou wilt with that information. But don't allow yourself to be a victim and have these things happen to you that's happened to everybody else when you know better. You see what I'm saying? So, anywho, guys, like I said, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that because it was pertinent right now with what's going on with some folks, man. I'm seeing it. I'm like, man, all these folks having this parasitic related crap going on. And it's sad. It's sad because the doctors, and you look at the doctors in the hospital, they ain't even addressing the real issue. They just going right around it. And like, I'm watching, I'm just like, so y'all just gonna act like y'all don't know she getting eaten alive by parasites, huh? Y'all just gonna act like y'all don't know. Or maybe y'all don't know, or y'all just, yeah, like we said, they train not to deal with it. So you got these people going through this different shit, and there ain't nothing they could deal with. So yeah, basically though, guys, if you figure out that you under attack, which we figure out we under attack by invisible enemy, you know, in so many ways, then once you find out what they're doing to you as a opposing force, it's up to you to fight back, man, and to do what you have to do to counter. Right. Right now we're launching countermeasures against an attack that's been waged against us. You see, and I think the people that, and I strongly feel like, I'm gonna tell you what I really believe. I feel like people that live, you know, the long, lengthy lives and stuff like that, and die of other things, man, it's because they somehow either they cleansed themselves out. They may have taken things that unknowingly, like you can do healthy stuff by accident, right? Because they hide the healthy stuff. So when you're doing some things, you're not even gonna know you're doing something healthy, but they push the unhealthy stuff. You see what I mean? And then when you do find something healthy, they put it out there, they try to lie. Like they just said recently, like, don't take vitamin D. I'm like, guys, if you're not taking vitamin D, like, I can't tell you, man, taking vitamin D will literally change your life. Get you some vitamin D. Get you some vitamin D, if nothing else. But the powers that be are trying to demonize that, just like they try to demonize vitamin C when the pandemic hit. Right? These are the things that they know that will keep you healthy. So they try to make it look bad. They tell you, they give fake studies. They tell you different things, lies. They fabricate articles about stuff happening to people that did these things. Say they give you, like, think about it. When people was dying from taking a walk, they wouldn't put it on there. But they would be quick to put somebody on there. 1 out of 100 million people then died from taking vitamin D. And it wasn't even vitamin D related. They might have been dying of some other ailment, just like they did with the pandemic. They was like, all these people died. And then later on, it was like, well, they did have these other issues going on that caused it. You see what I'm saying? When people was dying of COVID, it wasn't that they was dying of COVID. They had other things, but they used it to scare tactic. They used it as a scare tactic. So they applied it to the news by giving it to you as, oh, they died and they had COVID. But they didn't tell you, like, oh, this person had diabetes, this person had high blood pressure, this person was dealing with kidney failure already, and then they got COVID. They wouldn't tell you that, right? But that's what they do with the vitamin D. They don't tell you that this person that died of taking vitamin D was taking vitamin D. He took the large dose that they say don't take, which you should take the large dose, okay? Don't get twisted. They want to lie and tell you not to, but that large dose, if you're taking vitamin D, it will keep you healthy and you will avoid the hospital, all right? But they want to tell you, yeah, he died of vitamin D, but they won't tell you, oh, he had this, that, and the other too. But see, then they can use that as a study and say, oh, don't take vitamin D, so they can throw you off. They're always trying to throw you off, all right? They are the enemy. The enemy has control of our sources of communication and information. So if
every book in the libraries, every book in the colleges, every book in the universities, every book on this planet is misinformation. It's misinformation. So, which is initiated by the Draco reptilians as far back as 6,000 years ago.
The reptilians really came into control and started to be able to manipulate what was going on the face of the planet about 6,000 to 7,000 years ago. It is true that they have different masking technologies to be able to be in a room and look like a human, But usually they're in underground bases in various places on the globe, as well as in a huge area in Antarctica. The southeast region has a large number of underground caverns that are kept extremely warm, too warm for humans, by geothermal heat. It's a perfect place for all of these colonies that the reptilians have. They're basically cities, huge cities.
You trust your enemy, keep on listening to them. It's like they got on, they come on the commercial and they telling you 2 at once, 2 at the same time. Take the flu and the CV at the same time. You dummy. Take that crap you want to. Show me the study. You know, show me the study that said that worked out good for 10, 12 years. They can't do it, man. They can't do it. So anyway, man, I just wanted to put that out there, man, because I thought it was important. And I just saw some stuff that, you know, pointed me to say, look, man, you need to reiterate the importance for people because of the spiritual, the spiritual implications evolving around parasites, but the health implications as well, as far as the Depop part, cancer and stuff. And then, like I said, got folks right now, like they just went to the hospital because of this parasite eating at them, and they got the MS and dementias and shit. So just something for y'all to think about, man. Like I said, if you haven't cleaned your system out, man, that is important. That's the whole reason we started the shop, because we started stumbling across this information. And I started cleaning my system out and telling people, like, look, this is what I'm on. And then everybody started asking me, well, can we get this, get that? And I had to put the shop together so everybody had access to it, man, so they can start cleaning their systems. Because we avoided the walk, which was the main thing, okay, because that was the clear and present danger. But then as we continue to learn, man, start understanding that, oh, this is how they work. This is how they've been killing us. Now we got to address that. So we dodged one bullet. Now we got to dodge the other bullets. And that's what we started to do. And then we start also knowing about the chems and stuff like that. So it's just been just constantly understanding, evolving, man, with the processes and learning, and, you know, just outsmarting the system that they didn't put in place. You know, and for those that were fortunate, and then, like we said, we avoided the test, the masks and things. We avoided things, man. The programming and stuff, man. The mind control and stuff. We've been avoiding a lot of stuff, man. But this is what they're using now. This is where we at. So as long as you're learning it and you're continuing to adapt to these different methods and tactics that they're deploying against us, man, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But I can't say that for everybody. We on to the next phase, man. Like, we starting to have to understand frequency and stuff, man, and being on different frequency. You understand? Like, different frequency, you see different things. Like, these different beings and stuff that's operating in this world. It's like it's ships in the sky and stuff, but they on a different frequency. You can't see them. The realms is based off frequency and stuff, man. Like heaven and hell and fourth, fifth dimension, we talking about frequency. You gotta be on that frequency to be able to get there. You have to be vibrating at a certain, like I said, you have to be vibrating at a certain level to be able to be on them frequencies. You can't go to heaven unless you vibrating at a certain level. That's why we talk about Jesus in your heart and Christ in your mind, Christ consciousness, because Christ consciousness is the only thing that can get you up to that frequency. But your heart gotta be right. Remember, the heart and the pineal, like, those got to be in line. Okay, for you to be able to hit the frequency that you need to hit. You got to be able to vibrate where you need to be vibrating. If not, then you're going to be on a hellish frequency. All right? This is part of the hidden science behind this world. It's part of the hidden science. Like, it's beings walking amongst us and right next to us and, like, right around us, and you can't see them because you're not on that frequency. Right? Life is parallels, frequency, all of this stuff. All this stuff is part of it, man. So anyway, man, I ain't gonna keep y'all no longer. I just want to put this out there. I had a lot of pieces that I had for this video, so I hope I was able to get it all in there, man. If you haven't got a chance, man, to get your system cleaned up, man, it's never a bad time to start. Don't wait till you come down with one of these things and then be trying to fix it. I see so many people, and I got people that's showing up at the shop and people that's sending me emails asking me, well, how can I address this now and that, after they done got the stuff. Like, it's easy to do preventative action, man, than it is to be trying to fix or correct something that's happened. Like, think about it. Like I just said, the person I'm talking about got the lesions, and the lesions are in the brain now. The parasites have arrived. They have arrived. They've manifested in your body so long that they've got to that point where they've gotten to your brain. They've traveled through the blood and stuff, and they've gotten to your brain. Now they eat, and they've been eating for a while. Just like sometimes when they lay these eggs been sitting in your body for a while. They finally hatched. That's why the doctors say we see a tumor or we see a cyst. You see what I'm saying? It might be cancerous because it might hatch. I keep saying they might hatch. If the conditions are right, if certain things, like that's why they put what is it? Dang guys, what is it? They put why can I think of it right now? Something they put in the walk in the test, man, but it helps create a better atmosphere for these things to thrive in. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if the atmosphere that these eggs are in, it's like incubating. Okay, if you got a good environment for them to hatch in, then yeah, and it comes down to the foods and stuff that you eat and stuff that you consume. If those conditions are met, them things will hatch, and then you will have cancer. Do you understand how it works? So for you have got to disrupt that habitat. You got to disrupt their environment. If you don't, those people that don't disrupt it, they're gonna end up seeing or having the repercussions behind it from not disrupting their habitat. Right? So that's why it's important for us, man, to do the right things. But like I said, people wait to after they got these problems, then they seek medical attention and stuff. Like the dude said in here, it's like people we noticed that addressed these things early on, they never had to go to the doctor. But they had to have a second, third ward in the hospital because the people that were not cleansing their system, these parasites, they fed and they fed and they bred and they bred, they fed and they bred, fed and bred. They eating and they recreating, procreating. They constantly doing that, and the cancer is spreading and spreading. Think about it. If you got 2 or 3 cancer eggs in your system, let's just call them that, tumors, whatever, cysts. You got 2 or 3 of them in your system, they all hatch at the same time, boom. Your whole inside's getting eaten up. Basically what's happening. So, anywho, guys, I ain't gonna make this video no longer. Just want to talk about that. Like I said, people coming in last minute trying to get help for themselves. Same thing showing up the doctor, and also you got stage 4 and you didn't even know it because you got all these damn eggs. So yeah, guys, but doing that is gonna give you back control of yourself, man, your minds, your health, and everything else, man. So if you haven't, get yourself by Detox Shop, detoxificationbypurification.com. All right. If you've been doing other methods for yourself, then continue to do so. Cleanse your system out. Get these mind control parasites, these depopulation programs that they put out here. Get them out your system. All right. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you on the next video.
And there's nothing wrong with it. We have to face facts. Only a few seconds got on the air. It's time to forget about breaking in on top of their signal. They're only going to jam us out again and again.
Then we have to send the shipment out on the street.
No. It's not going to work that way. We've been all through this.
We have no other choice.
We've got to find new people, strong people, people that'll work with us.
That is their primary method of survival. To keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated. But understand, they are safe.
The Oscar winners give a press conference, and how to buy a sailboat as prime news.
Like shit. I'm out.
What's wrong?
All the sex and violence on the screen has gone too far for me. I'm fed up with it. Filmmakers like George Romero and John...
Teeth, goddammit! Let me see them! No shark teeth, Pop. Okay, then. How about you tell us your name? Michael. Well, I'm sorry about that, Michael. We had this old lady in here who went crazy in my place. She had these teeth. Never seen anything like it. Practically bit a man in half. What are you doing out here anyway? You don't look like any policeman I ever saw. Even one from LA.
There are pockets of resistance all around the planet. We've been fighting a long time. If you're listening to this, you are not alone. You are are the resistance.